everyone, and thanks for checking into the Pit Stop. This is our recap for Amazing Race 37, episode 5. It's not personal, it's business. Hey, Cayla, how's it going?
It's going. Everything's personal. I cannot wait to talk about this episode. I was obsessed.
I know. We kind of talked about it before we went live, but this is honestly my favorite episode of the season so far, and probably one of my favorite episodes in the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, like it's like a leg specifically that as I'm watching it for the first time in a while, I'm like, God, I would have loved to done this leg. Like to run this leg just looked like I haven't felt that way in like maybe a season or two where I'm like, oh my God, I wish I was there for this leg. So.
And I love legs in Bali. I just think that the race always nails it every time they go there. And to join us in breaking down this episode, I can't wait to hear his thoughts because I always love his tweets when he live watches. We have Lieutenant Lewis Cologne. Hey, Lewis.
What's up, everybody? I'm good. What's up, everybody? Yes, I'm not Rachel Reilly. Rachel, I guess, is maybe coming later. I know you're gonna have a lot of people wanting to watch Rachel, but trust me, I want to be with her too.
Lewis, what were your overall thoughts on this episode?
It was honestly one of my favorite episodes in a long time, James. I want to say, like, when you think of episode 5, this one's going to stick out to me. Like, when has an episode in the middle of the season stuck out to you like this? Like, it was so good. I really enjoyed it. And I know we're going to talk. It has everything right now this season. It has twists. It has turns. It has amazing. It has good tasks. The teams are amazing. And there's this one team that you kind of just root against. And all of that makes it for a great season. I can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah, it's not an Amazing Race unless there's at least one of those teams.
Yeah. It's the first time in a long time that the end of the episode got an emotional reaction out of me. Like, every time I go, that was a good or a bad episode, and I have a lot of shit to say. But like this one, like specifically, I just genuinely really felt like a certain type of way by the end of it. So
I watched. Yes, I watched it with Michelle. Michelle cries every episode, but this one got me. I was just like, no.
It was good. My heart was racing. I mean, as Carson and Jack said in the chat, juicy, juicy, juicy. Hey, Carson and Jack.
What up, boys?
Hey, Ray Fletcher.
Ray Fletcher.
And Scott, such a great episode. It was, despite the outcome, which I've already told you. It was a great episode, despite the outcome. Let's just dive right into this. I know Rachel's on her way. She spilled her water as we were about to go live. So that's why she's a little held up at the moment. But what I liked about the start of this episode, and I think you tweeted it, Lewis, was that we're seeing where the teams are sleeping. And this is an element to the race I don't think we've seen in quite a while. It reminds me very much of old school Amazing Race, just seeing the teams being able to stay in Penglapuran Village with the locals. I love this. This is what I feel like the Amazing Race is all about. And this is something I want to see more of going forward with the race.
Yeah, like when they said that they were being hosted by local families, I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I didn't get to do that.
Yeah. Didn't you camp in the woods, Cayla?
That was and I got holed up in COVID land in these hotels. I'm like, y'all staying with locals in Bali? This is some bullshit.
We did get charter jets, though. We lived a little bougie Amazing Race life for a bit.
We slept in train stations and airports, and even then I'm like, there's so much good content that comes out of those moments that it's just not making the edit. And that's why I liked also at the start of this leg that we see teams interacting. Obviously they get their route info, they have to make their way to the Sacred Monkey Forest, and if you have never been to Bali, I highly recommend. It's my favorite place in Bali. I love this place, and the monkeys will take selfies with you. They interact with you, but just don't get bit. But they do have a vet on site if that does happen. But
hey, I got bit by a monkey one time in Thailand. Is that I know it's not Thailand, but
should I be
worried?
Did you not?
No.
Oh, maybe not. I mean, maybe rabies is a thing. I don't know.
It's just lying dormant in Louise, and it's gonna like pop up. It's gonna flare up out of nowhere halfway through this podcast.
That was like 5 years ago. I gotta go.
But love the Sacred Monkey Forest. I mean, they've been here before. They went here on season 22. What I liked again about this, the way this is being edited, is we're seeing teams interacting at the holding because they couldn't get in until 8 o'clock. So we see Scott and Lori confront Jonathan and Anna about the driver's seat. And I love this. These types of interactions we need more of to kind of help build out context for us as viewers. Again, so much good stuff in the downtimes that I feel like you can get, but it's just not making the edit. So I appreciated that this was shown.
And it just helps teams' understanding of why they chose what they did, which makes sense. Like, you're not going to make everyone happy. You're just not.
And you would think with an hour and a half episode, you would hope to see more of this in the past in other episodes, which they haven't. You know, and the social game is so huge, as we saw here. So you wanted to see more of this.
Yes. So hopefully we'll see more going forward, because I remember last week when we recapped, that was the one thing I think we missed out on with the driver's seat. It's sure we saw it with Jack and Carson and Scott and Lori at the airport, but I know all the other teams had to have been talking about the what if scenarios. Like going on The Amazing Race, you always think to yourself, if we hit a U-turn, if there's a fast forward, if there's an intersection, if you have to have these what ifs to know what are you going to do in that situation. So I just need more of these interactions and conversations as a viewer. But I'm glad we got this. Like you said, Cayla, I think Jonathan and Anna really did explain themselves well, but I do appreciate Scott and Lori calling them out on the fact that they burned a 15-pound and then used the express pass. It just that still doesn't make sense to me.
Right. Well, again, like she answered, she's like, we didn't know we were going to use it. Right. Like, so it's like, it at least explains that element of it, which I do believe. I believe her. I don't think that they had intended to just go and give themselves 15 and burn it. Like, right. I don't know. But like you said, a lot of decisions that were made.
And he did say, like, there was really no perfect solution because someone was going to get mad regardless. They had to do it.
Yeah.
This is perfect timing because we're at the point for the live U-turn vote, and we can't discuss this without the queen herself, who actually experienced this firsthand on season 31. Please welcome the queen, Rachel Reilly-Villegas.
Hi, guys.
What's up, Rachel?
It's so good to see you.
You look good.
Thank you. I've been working out. Oh my gosh, this episode was crazy.
I know.
It was crazy. We all kind of agree this is one of our favorite episodes of the season so far. Yes. What were your overall thoughts on the episode?
So I love this episode. I texted you, this episode is giving me major PTSD. Yeah. I feel like right? Well, it was everything, like the U-turn vote, the coconuts reminded me of the watermelons, the swimming in the ocean, kind of like everything, right? It was, I feel like I've done all of these challenges on Race. And so I was just like, oh my gosh. And you know what's so funny? I sent you the clip the other night of John and Jessica with the surfboards. And I was like, oh my God, this is
it was essentially a switchback, but instead on the water and not doing it on land.
Yes.
Exactly. Isn't that crazy? I love when they do stuff like that, because I feel like if you're a super fan and you're on the show, then you know what you're supposed to do. And I think that's what I won't spoil, but I think that's what happened with between first team and the second team this season. But okay, so U-turn vote.
Yes.
I love it as a viewer. I hated it.
Well, what's interesting is I feel like we've seen different variations of the blind U-turn vote. I mean, this season was very similar to how yours was done, Rachel, on season 31. But with season 35, they voted before the leg had even started. There really was no face-to-face interaction as they were voting with the other teams around.
Yeah.
Which style of the U-turn vote do we prefer? Do we like this face-to-face, or do we like voting privately before the leg actually begins?
Oh, face-to-face all day.
But you know what I noticed? It looks like they have more time. So yeah, face-to-face all day, but it looks like they had time to like go discuss it with their teammate.
Yeah.
In private.
That way. Yeah.
Right?
And thank God they showed what everyone's thought process was, because it gives us more context, again, as a viewer.
Yeah.
How are these teams thinking and how are they perceiving the other teams that they're racing against?
Yeah, and then on top of that, it's not like you just vote for them and then you move on and who got voted is getting U-turn and that's the end of that. It's like you literally have to then combat and argue or like make a stance for why you're doing it. And it's like, it's not just so easy as putting a team up there and then just keep on going. Like you have to explain yourself to their face. Like that's a pretty, like that would affect who I actually choose, because had I had to have no interaction, I might have voted differently.
Yeah.
You think so?
I think so. I actually do think so. Like I just having to
all voted for Lori and Scott. It felt like safe voting. Like it felt like they were trying to get rid of them.
Well, I have a clip. I'm going to play it really quick and we'll talk about Scott and Lori.
It's hard to take that. I just feel like it's my 8 sons voting against me because I have this love for every single one of these teams. My 8 sons would never vote for us. I know it's a game and a competition, but some of these teams are our friends. They're not my friends anymore.
So going back to your point, Rachel, if I was racing with them, they would probably get my vote. And that's because they are constantly at the top, just like Jonathan and Anna. And I would probably assume Jonathan and Anna were going to get most of the votes, where Will and I would probably think, like some of the teams did, well, as a defensive measure, I'm going to vote for the second team just in case we get a vote. So I'm not surprised necessarily that Scott and Lori were on the receiving end of the other votes.
Okay.
Well, and like just the whole element of like, I love these, you know, these people like my sons. And it's like, that's great and dandy, but like there's an understanding of, you know, the whole thing of run your own race. Like you can love all these people, but at the end of the day, it's a game. It's a game. Yes. Like, you know, Rachel 100%. Knows more than anything. Like, this is a game. It's like bringing traders, like table combo back. But it's like, I mean, I would take it as a compliment being voted for. I'd still be overall like pissed because like that sucks. Obviously, that like puts you in jeopardy. But like, just some of it felt a little too like, oh, my sons, like I feel bad. I don't know. Like it's, if you're gonna game and own it, accept it.
But like I liked when Lori was like, they're not my friends anymore. I thought like, yeah, I get it. Cause like I've been U-turn voted. I've been voted against plenty of times, backstabbed. And you want to say that stuff because it's true. Like that's how you feel at the moment. Like they're gonna get over it. They'll be friends in like a week, right? But like
she really was rooting them on later, which I loved, and it just reminded me. Like Lewis said it, like they remind me of Kim and Penn in ways, and it's just funny because I had such a similar interaction of like we were going to eat the maggot cheese and we were following Kim and Penn and they had passed the entrance, so they kept going, we turned in, and you see Penn be like, what the hell, like we got them here and they turned in and they just sprinted up. The reason why we were sprinting was because I take a really long time to eat. So I knew I wanted to have more time to eat, but then we waited for them at the end, which I don't think they thought we were going to wait. And you see Penn be like, oh my God, that's not cool. Like, we're not cool with them. And then they see that we waited and Penn goes, okay, just kidding. We're friends.
Take that back.
Those emotions are real in the moment. Yes. You're like, okay, then like that's not cool. Like it takes you a minute to process.
So Rachel, how do you feel like watching this season, how strategic the teams were in voting? But when you go back to your season, the teams weren't like that at all. Like you shouldn't have gotten any votes on your season, but you did. How did that make you feel?
I know, like everybody was shocked why everyone wanted to U-turn my sister and I, because like that was the dumbest. Like, you want to win $1 million? Like, let's not vote out the, you know, Reilly sisters, right? Like, we were having fun. We weren't winning legs, whatever. But I do like the strategy behind these U-turn votes. And I do enjoy seeing when the teams are playing very strategic like they are this season, because it is $1 million. And I hate when it's a kumbaya fest, or like on my season when it's so personal for no reason. Like it's like, did nobody want to win $1 million? Like they were all just like, oh sure, let's just, you know, whatever.
I'm just curious because in this season so far, Jack and Carson has the best race average out of all the teams. So what did they do differently from Scott and Lori? That Scott and Lori caught 4 votes and Jack and Carson got 0.
Lewis, are you setting me up to say it's the gay effect? I'm telling you, we said it last week.
That was on my notes too, though. Why are people not voting for them? Because I don't understand. Like, I know that they have great social game and everyone loves them, but like, I do think that they are a stronger racer than like Lori and Scott, right?
Well, I mean, it goes back to season 31. Tyler and Corey, they were a really strong team, didn't receive one vote at the U-turn vote. On our season, Will and I were the first team to win 2 legs in a row. We were the first team to win 3 legs on our season, and people still were looking at Hung and Chi. Nobody was talking about Will and I being a threat. We had used a U-turn, we had used a yield, like, but everyone's worried about Hung and Chi, and Will and I are like, what are we, chopped liver? Like, hello.
Hashtag gay, the gay effect.
Yeah, now here's Jack and Carson sitting pretty, playing that social game. Like, they remind me a lot of Will and I. They 100% have their head in it. Perception is reality. You being chummy with the other teams does come into play. They get it. They're gamers, but nobody's talking about them. And that's still so fascinating to me. And that's why all I have to say is it's the gay effect. Like, Jack and Carson, stay mad straights.
I love it.
But, you know, speaking of the gays, I loved what Mark said at the U-turn, and I did pull that clip as well.
I like you guys, obviously, but at the same time, you can't present yourselves as a weak team when you come in the top 3 every time. I feel like you guys are very friendly, but I also feel like you guys are using it as like a social strategy, and so that's what it feels like to me.
I hate to say it, but I 100% agree with what Mark said. I mean, I don't hate to say it because that's exactly what I would be thinking. Like, that's the truth. Like, they are playing it off from what we've seen in the edit that like we're older, like we're not as fast as the other teams, but like you can literally win. And everyone says you can win the Amazing Race walking. Like, they're just so good at the tasks, and that's what makes them a threat. What happens in between sometimes isn't fully in your control. You might have a bad taxi, which we'll talk about them getting to the detour last. There's so much that can happen that it's like you are just really good at the tasks. That's why you're fast. That's what makes you a threat. And they're just downplaying it so much. And it seems like the teams are fed up at this point.
Yeah. Or maybe not fed up, but they're threatened. I feel like threatened is a better word. Like, it's like if you're coming into a challenge with Scott and Lori and they're coming in and leaving first every time, I would feel threatened, you know? Like, they were.
Why did Nick and Mike catch a vote? Why did Nick and Mike catch a vote? That made no sense.
Here's the thing, though, Lewis. What I will say in Jonathan and Anna's defense is I did like that they were thinking long term, because sure, they could be a sleeper team. They give off that they're strong. I think us as viewers are kind of confused by a lot of race decisions they maybe make, but if you're racing against them, they might seem like a strong team. And I think Jonathan and Anna thinking long term, I don't blame them for maybe trying to make that kind of move, but I don't think it was the smart move, but I can understand why. Maybe? No? Lewis is like, no, I don't agree.
I don't know. I'm watching Nick and Mike. They come in here auditioning 7 times and super fans of the show. And I'm thinking these 2 dudes are they're just strong men and they're going to kick ass. And they've done opposite of that. Like, every task is like, what are you doing? Everybody's passing you. Like what's going on here? It's 30 coconuts. Figure it out. You're 2 guys. Come on, get some oomph in your step at every task you're slacking. That would have been like, bro, I want Nick and Mike to stay on this season if I'm racing against them. So I guess Jonathan and Anna should have picked a different guy team.
Yeah, well, not only that, like, I think my emotions would play into it a little bit, and like that decision making, and like knowing that they applied 7 times and finally got on, like the fan and like the old, like, you know, the pre being on Amazing Race me is like, I was that person. I went to Big Brother auditions all the time. It's like, to finally get that opportunity, I would hate to be the one that U-turned them and that sent them home, when a lot of people nowadays get recruited. Like, the fact that they applied 7 times and finally got on, me personally, I wouldn't want to be the one to U-turn them. So like that's another reason why I'd be like, why them? Like, you know, I just feel like they like just, I mean, I think all the teams deserve to be there. Like, it's a hard vote regardless, but it was odd for them to get a random vote.
I did interview Scott and Lori earlier this morning, and I pulled a clip from my conversation with them because I just had to ask this particular question, and I would just love y'all's thoughts. Okay, so then I do have to ask, because game respects game. I think you guys were a really strong team this season on so many different levels. But Scott, you're an avid online reality gamer, and Lori, you're a diehard Survivor fan. So I need to know, there was never any ounce of social game between the two of you at all?
No, 100%. We were genuinely wanting to be there for friends. Like, we are with the mentality of the abundance mentality. Like, I genuinely wanted everyone to succeed.
Y'all.
By the way, James, you were glowing there. You look like an angel.
That was great.
Thank you, Lewis. It's the gay effect. Okay, I wanted to pull that clip. I love Scott and Lori. I told them that they were one of the best casting choices this season, but I'm still not buying it because this, at the end of the day, is a race. It is 100% a competition. If you hadn't thought once at all after 5 legs how you're being perceived by the other teams, or maybe socializing with teams to get them to not do things against you, I have a hard time buying it. I don't know.
But you know what, James? Sometimes it's natural for people. So
Yeah,
I told myself when I got on the race, I'm just gonna be myself, and that's good enough for me to, like, you know, get some alliances and whatever happens. It was funny because Derek X, on one of his recaps, they were asking, he was asked, oh, talk about the teams, and he goes, oh, Lewis, he has a great social game, awesome social, and I'm just like, wait, I never even thought of that. I'm just like, I was just being myself. So maybe them just being themselves, they think it's enough, and they don't think they needed a social game.
That's fair.
I think
they're not understanding that it's being perceived as a social game.
Yeah.
And also, you can tell she's being herself because when she gets emotional when she gets voted against. So I do kind of think that she's just being genuine. Like, if she was playing a game, she wouldn't get emotional about getting voted against. You know what I mean? Like, that reminds me of me. Like, I'm an emotional person. I just get emotional on these shows, and like, I think that she probably legitimately is just kind of like, doesn't think that the teams wouldn't like her. Why would you think the teams don't like you? You know what I mean? Or like that they're not threatened by you. They're not winning a ton of legs. They're up final 3, but like, why are you not threatened by like the teams that are constantly winning? That kind of thing.
Yeah, that's fair. I think if you're like, before they confronted Jonathan and Anna, and they were hoping that they could guilt them, right, in some way to not vote for them at the U-turn, that to me is social game. That 100% is forward thinking of, I'm doing this for this desired outcome. Worked. Jonathan and Anna voted for Nick and Mike. So whether that was the reason why Jonathan and Anna voted that way, there was still some thought process of, I'm going to make them feel bad for driver seating us with the hopes that they now don't U-turn us. I don't know. That's, to me, is just social game. But I see what you're saying. And we had a really great interview. And they do go on to say that they wanted everyone to succeed. And I do think that, and I told them this, they kind of took on the mom and dad of Amazing Race role. Like, they really did kind of go into this wanting to see everyone be the best versions of themselves and to really see everyone succeed. And we do, and I will give credit where credit is due. We do see later in the episode, Lori sees Jonathan get the clue, and she has that quick moment of like, oh, they got their clue, but like, good for them. And so you're right, Lewis. I do think innately that's just who they are. But I'm also like, in a game though, with their background specifically, being Survivor fans and online reality gamers, I just have a hard time buying that there wasn't ever a social game at play for these two.
But I think that's because you're such a gamer, James.
I could
be.
Maybe like, I just wanted them to own it because I was like, gosh, they're a strong team. And I wanted them to just be like, you're right, we had a social game. And I would be like, yeah, like, hell yeah. But maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. You're right. I just love the game.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Both can be true.
So after the U-turn vote, they had to the beach of Bali where they get their detour clue for coconuts or coral. In coconuts, they had to take a bicycle and deliver 60 coconuts to a beach cafe along the shoreline. Once they're there, stack them with the locals and get their next clue. In coral, this detour required teams to attach 5 species of coral onto one frame, snorkel out to sea, and then plant it on the ocean floor. Once it's safely in place, they'll get their next clue. What were everyone's thoughts on this detour?
No, thank you for the coconuts. No, thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you for the coconuts. I agree. That is true. Never pick the physical task unless you're like very physical. I love this coral reef thing. I thought it was so cool how Phil explained it. I really love when Amazing Race like shows us, you know, hey, they're trying to do something in Bali to like, you know, get all the coral reefs around the world. Like, I just love when they show us how different cultures are making an impact and different, you know, countries are making an impact. So I would have immediately chosen that, but that's because I've raced 3 times and I know that like when it's like either a cultural thing or a thing where it's like they're making an impact, you just do that detour. Like, that's the one.
I like that strategy. I like that.
Right? Yeah. It's like, I think this smart strategy.
I'm racing and saving the planet at the same time.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
Well, I'm also looking at it as I get to get into that beautiful water at the end. Like, sign me up kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, because it was apparently really hot. They kept talking about how hot it was. So
it was
really hot.
Yeah, I like both sides of this detour. I think, if I would have read stacking, it would have been a hard pass. I mean, we had the watermelon stacking.
That's exactly what I think of.
And I was like, we stayed away from it. We were like, there's no way. We saw this on Amazing Race. We don't need to do it. It's a challenge. So stacking anything, no thank you. Where I felt like the coral was a little bit more straightforward. You just had to follow the example. And not as laborious as like the pushing of the bike. And I loved how Brett was so cute. With like, I want to get back to the earth. Like, coral's so important. I was like, that was very much like Will's mentality with some of the tasks we did, was like, this is good for the environment. Like when we were doing like smog tests for the rickshaws in India, he was living for it. He was like, this is great. This is good for the environment. Smog's not, but at least we're checking to make sure. But I loved the detour. I thought this is a great setup for the detour tasks.
And it was just the classic, like, you know, some people are just going to throw the coral on there without paying attention to detail. It's like the classic tall tale of like, you don't do that on Amazing Race. There's a rhyme and a reason for everything. Like, pay attention to the detail. But it's also funny because Raquel and I said, like, if it was physical, we're just going to do physical. Like, we were a very physical team like that. You can't mess up. You just brutally get it done. But to back up what Rachel said, like we always said, if it was something pertinent to the area or like the climate or whatever, you do that one. You know, it's like, oh, restoring the coral, like we're gonna do that one. But like, it still just amazes. And it's funny because like that was the narrative up until this point with Scott and Lori. They're coming in and they're getting out of the challenges the quickest. And of all the ones to get stumped on or to like not pay attention on, like to like the little details, was like devastating as a watcher from like being someone that was rooting them on. I'm like, oh my God.
And
like,
they got a hint.
Yes.
I know.
Oh yeah. I pulled that clip. Here it is.
Look at the colors of the coral. It matters.
Okay, love you guys. Rock it. Thank you. Woo! It honestly all looks pretty much the same.
So we're trying to pay attention to where the coral goes.
We're doing good.
I'm optimistic.
So
when she said that, I was like, oh, that's not good.
I know.
Well, they had told me that the issue, and this makes so much sense, is that the coral had to be wet for it to actually show the certain colors.
Oh.
So anytime they went back to the example, sometimes the coral wasn't as wet as it was before. So the things were kind of changing as the task was going on. So that's where the confusion was for them, with making sure the color was specific as the example.
Interesting. Should we also just take a moment? Like, sorry, this is just my episode where I'm going to praise Scott and Lori, because I was just like, I understand they like went home and I'm sad. And that's not the team I wanted to go home. Not that I wanted any specific team to go home, but the fact that you have all these teams doing 4 to 5 trips with these coconuts and doing 15 to 18 at the time, and they did 2 trips of 30. Again, like they are freaking a physical, fast team. Like they were the only team that did that, and they were the oldest. Shout out to them for like having a goal and losing all that weight. Like when they said, like, he's like, I lost over 100 pounds and I've lost 70. I'm like, holy crap. Like that's freaking awesome. But like, I'm blown away that they were the team of all of them that did it in 2 trips like holy boss status. And then for the coral to be what trips them up, I was just like, wow, like that was wild to watch. Like
and the order, and the order which they chose the 2 detours, that was perfect.
Yep.
Like you're fresh right now. You do the physical task first. You're gonna be hot. Boom. Then go in the water and cool off. That was a perfect
physical leg in general.
Yeah.
They were just, the tasks themselves with Scott and Lori were really impressive. So agree with you, Cayla, that like the coral of all things, like that was hard to watch. I felt bad for the 2 of them.
Yes. And again, like just the way that they communicate like between each other, like it's just, I don't know, like they just, the way they talk. I mean, and again, I don't believe in, it was the edit or anything. Like they were just truly supportive to one another. And it was like cool to watch, like for such a strenuous physical, like draining day, you saw some teams buckle and like get snippy with one another with the bike and all that. And it's like, they were just so supportive to one another. Like, I don't know, this was their leg to lose, unfortunately. But
and I told them they're really good at, like, it was never them versus each other. It was always them versus the task. And we saw that with the coral. Like they really had to rally together to find out what was wrong. Scott in the chat said, I don't think the coconuts impacted coral at all for us. I think it just came down to the coral drying out and changing colors. Jack and Carson say it was so hot. I can't believe everyone didn't want to swim immediately. Followed up with, also, it was like under a tent, so it was shady. It was like glamorous in the coral area. And Mark said it sure was. All the gays went straight for the VIP shade tent. Followed by, we didn't want the UV rays to impact our supple skin.
I'm obsessed with them.
I love them. They are so fun.
So going back to good communication, I want to talk about Alyssa and Josiah, because those 2 are so impressive, and it's so endearing just how supportive and soft and sweet Josiah is with Alyssa, and always praising her at everything in the race. It's a breath of fresh air. But then on the flip side, we can't talk about this episode without talking about Jonathan and Anna as well. Like, complete polar opposite in terms of their dynamic and the way they communicate with each other. I was just kind of thrown for a loop with just Jonathan and how he was behaving at this detour. I was like, if this kind of attitude and mentality continue, like this is what's going to put them out this leg. I for sure thought there was a moment where these 2 were going to get eliminated.
I mean, I'm glad they didn't, because I thought like they worked really well together too. But
Jonathan and Anna?
Wait, not Jonathan and Anna. Sorry, I thought
Anna looked up.
Sorry, did I not?
We are kind of talking about both teams right now.
Yeah. James's facial reaction.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, am I not watching the same Amazing Race?
Listen, are a joy to watch. I love communication. They're a physical team. They also did only 2 trips with the coconuts. They're badasses. They're doing great.
Oh, I missed that. Sorry.
Yeah, they only did 2 trips. And then and unfortunately, and then you have Jonathan and Anna. Jonathan. So how I feel about Jonathan, right? So before I was on Amazing Race, I wasn't so critical to people watching teams on TV, because I was never part of it, so I don't know. Right. But now being on the race, I'm a little bit more critical to males and how they treat their wives. And last season we had Amber and Vinny, and they weren't right. They weren't right. Vinny wasn't as demeaning, I feel, to his partner, where here, Jonathan, you have him say things like, oh, be quiet, I have a headache. Or, he kind of rips the clue away from her when she's trying to grab it. It's like, come on, dude. Like, and it's really, it's a team that I'm like watching, and I don't want them to win, but I want to keep on seeing them on my TV. Why am I so toxic?
No, because, Amazing Race at the core is all about relationships, as we know. And I think what makes the cast so dynamic is when there are teams that are dysfunctional, because not every relationship is perfect, and every relationship has their ups and downs. I agree with you. I mean, they're nowhere near as bad as Jonathan and Victoria from season 6. Like that was like a lot to watch. But what's interesting is like I had a hard time watching Vinny and Amber. I thought they were very grating, and I never shied away from that during the recap. With Jonathan and Anna balances it out. She is a saint. She literally,
she's an angel.
She's an angel, and she carried this leg for the two of them. Yes. It was her specifically. She overcame the getting in the ocean. We hear her talk about how she almost drowned at the age of 5. She was a badass and pushed through it. She at first it was a struggle. She got a life jacket, went back and did it. No problem. She was trying to support Jonathan the best way he could be supported during the heat and the exhaustion, him needing to sit and drink water, and his headache during the coconut task. Like, she is a saint. Where like it's opposite of me with Amber and Vinny from last season, is they were just always at it with each other. We don't see that from Anna.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I feel like, so I too, like, I don't know if you guys watched me and Brendan on the radio. I clearly was the saint, right? Like, throwing a bag at him. But like, we've been married 15 years and like, you know, we don't act like that in real life, but like, we both have these big personalities. So I don't necessarily think just because like, on the race, people are, you know, go at it or whatever. I don't think it's like that's how they are in real life. It's just, you know, under these circumstances, we do go, and you're fighting for $1 million, and everyone is competitive in a different way.
Right.
But I actually don't think that they are that like toxic, because I kind of feel like they're fun in a way like a married couple has been together for a while. I don't know, like, I've been married 15 years. You've been married what now, James? Like 12 years, right?
We've been together that long, but married for 3.
Married for 3. Okay, well, whatever. But you know what I mean. Like, when you're married for a long time, you guys both, like, the thing is, you have these things, right? It's always this balance.
Here's the difference, though. Watching you and your husband on your race, Rachel, like you guys, it was like kind of like equal. Like he'll like come down, you'll fight back, and you'll throw it back at him, and it was kind of like whatever. They're arguing. I guess here, since it's so one-sided, it kind of pisses me off. It makes me upset, and I kind of wish somehow Anna could defect to another team and Jonathan could get eliminated sometime. But I know that can't happen because Anna's such an angel. Like, she's
Anna
so supportive.
Yeah. I was going to say, not only just like physically her overcoming her fears and like pushing through that physical coconut challenge and still encouraging him at the end when he was exhausted. It's just like, you know, she kind of takes the cake as MVP for me, is because at some point, like, I can only be encouraging and patient so long to where I'm just kind of like, you've clearly given up, so why the hell shouldn't I give up? Like, that was like the frustration I was feeling as a viewer, is like, she did very well at holding her own and still just being like, I just got to let him. I just got to let him. And I would not be able to separate. I get like, for me, I'd be like, we are on TV and our asses are on the line. Like, get it together. I can't have you having a meltdown right now. Like, to where it's like, I don't know. That's like maybe my failures in a partner, but that just goes to show like they are a strong team and a strong partnership because of, she understands where she needs to be and where she pull, like, you know, it's like the way that their dynamic is very strong because, like you said, because they've been married for so long, that works for them and they understand each other. It's wild because I'm like, I know myself, and that is not how I would have handled the situation like an angel. I would have been like, you're not gonna ruin this for me. Like, get your shit together. Like,
I would do the same thing.
That's where I was at. I was like, no. Where, at the end, you know how they always do it, the final 2 teams, even though you can tell maybe one team is like an hour behind, but this time truly I was like, God, I feel like it's Scott and Lori, but I'm hoping for once the editing actually tricks me, and it is, just because I just felt like Scott wanted to stay more, which is weird because Jonathan's so competitive, but I wasn't getting, like, I get heat exhaustion gets to you and stuff, like that was probably a really true element, but over it all, I didn't sense like a disappointment in his situation. He was just accepting of it and was like, I just hit my point today. Like, and it wasn't like I don't know. It just, the whole behavior at the end just did not sit right with me. And it's taking their relationship out of it. It was just the giving up element. And I just felt like he didn't care, where it's like, I felt like Scott and Lori care.
Oh,
yeah. Like, I genuinely felt like if they were at the end and they got eliminated, he'd be like, all right. Like, I think he was just done. I think he was just mentally done.
He was practically sleeping on a surfboard.
Yeah. So Jonathan,
that was hard to watch for me.
Yeah. Jonathan. Yeah. So Jonathan doesn't do well in the heat. If only they had something that would help them skip a task so they could be in the heat less time.
Savage.
The express pass. Well, moving forward, the teams after the detour had to travel by taxi to Nusa Dua Beach to find their next clue, which happens to be the Roadblock. Who wants to meet their match? Phil tells us Bali is the surfing mecca of Asia, and after choosing a surfboard, they must swim out into the surf and search between two marked buoys for a surfer who has an identical sticker on their board. Once they meet their match and the judge sees double, they'll get their next clue. I loved this task. It was definitely kind of a switchback in some regard to season 22 when Jessica and John didn't use their express pass and went home with it. When they had to just match the surfboard, but it was like a wall full of surfboards. This time it was just in the water, which makes it a little bit more physical. There was a little bit more work element to it. I loved it. What did you guys think about this Roadblock?
I loved it. I would have done it. I know my sister probably would have wanted to do it. Brendan probably would have wanted to do it, but I would have let them make me do it. It was fun. It looked really fun. And it was like, you get out there and you're like looking at all the puzzles and you get to be in the water and you kind of like get to sit on a surfboard. And like, I think if you've sat on a surfboard or like swam out on a surfboard like that, there's just something about it that's very like relaxing and fun. And I think it's just like, how cool is it to get to do that in Bali? And it's like the most gorgeous spot.
But a needle in a haystack is never relaxing. Never.
I mean, yes, but those things were so big. Like those stickers were like the only thing more obvious would have been if they were neon. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm gonna almost disagree a little bit, just because like being on a surfboard in the water where it's going like that, you really have to be up on the surfboard to look at it, to where you really can only look at one at a time up next close to the surfboard. But I also love how intricate it was. Like, it wasn't like how Carson in the beginning, he was like, none of these surfboards are orange. Like, he thought they had to be orange when really it was just the sticker that mattered. So it's like, when I found out that the sticker was maybe on a different color board, I was like, ooh, that's sneaky, Amazing Race. Like, damn, they're really making them work for it, but you also see all these really strong partners who did this challenge all exhausted by the end of it. To where it's like, it was more physically demanding than I think met the eye. Like, I think initially they're thinking, okay, like, it's just paddle out there. And just to see how exhausted they were afterwards was a little like, it was like, oh, I guess just watching from my couch, I wouldn't have assumed that would have been like a physically strenuous challenge. But
you do kind of wish there was more movement between the teams, but like, it was already a difficult task. Like you said, it was very physically demanding. Before I forget, Han catching that wave on the way in.
Yes,
what a badass.
Let's give her some credit.
I saw that there was a wave coming and I just decided to catch it. It was pretty sick.
I mean, yes. That's
a way to save energy.
Love about this kind of challenge, right? Like, that is why they made it.
And it just shows that like she's living in the moment. Like, yes, it's a race. Also, she was just like, it was pretty sick. I just saw a wave and I decided to catch it. Like, you remove yourself. There are moments in the race, at least I felt this way, not very many, but there were moments where I could remove myself and be like, wow, this is really cool. Or like, look at where I am. It's like, for me, that was a moment where I think she forgot about the race for a second. She's like, I'm gonna catch this wave in Bali. No big deal. It's chill.
Yeah, well, this Roadblock was fun because it delivered some really good moments, that being one of them, but I have to give credit to this one as well.
We're fighting for first place, but honestly, when you're here with Carson and Jack, it feels Like we're just on a it feels like we're vacation. Yeah, we're on like a little gay beach hanging out.
Wasn't that the club that they were talking about?
It's honestly the FOMO that I had. I was like, I want to be on that beach with those two. Like that looks like a fun time.
They were just chilling under the umbrella.
The VIP umbrella.
The VIP shade umbrella.
Yes, but I hear you, Lewis, that it would have been nice to see a little bit more
of displacement.
Yeah,
yes.
But how much more evil can we get? Like, are we gonna put another 100 surfboarders out there? Like, that's it. As a viewer, you want that, but as a racer, like watching that gives me anxiety. Needles in the haystack give me anxiety.
It makes me think of the season with Lena and Christy, and they were pushing the hay bales, and that was a needle in a haystack, and they never found it. But like that was challenging, that was hard. So imagine 100 more surfers. Granted, where are they going to find that? Like, I feel like they probably used everyone from the beach for this task, and they were like, "Well, we hit our quota. This is all we can put out there." But it would have just been nice to see more staggering in the placements, I think.
Or maybe making the team.
That is going to be the needle in the haystack challenge of the season. Like, do you think that's going to be like that? Was that it? You think?
Maybe
it's kind of like a needle in a haystack element, but there's, I think, a little bit more dynamic to the task with it having to match identically.
Okay. Maybe making the decals like very, very similar. And having one little thing that's different, kind of like on Annalise season when they were in, I forgot what country that was, where they had to look at the red plaques, and each red plaque had a different like little detail.
Yeah.
And that needle, the haystack, I forgot what country that was in, but and there was movement there on that leg. But overall, it was still fun to watch. It was great. It was a great task. So props to production.
In the chat, Tom is asking, do you think the leg was too short?
I don't think so, because they had a double U-turn or the U-turn vote. Then they had they were running around in the heat all day. That coconut looked hard. The coral reef was obviously not the easiest,
Yeah.
And then if you guys think it's needle in the haystack, I still think it looked fun. But if it could be like a challenging surfboard thing, right? Like, Han made it look easy, but everyone else,
Oh, Erica also made it look real easy. How she swam out there and she's like, boom, you're mine, let's go. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, that was so impressive.
Pops didn't struggle either. Pops with his biceps just cutting through that water. Like he made it look easy.
Yeah. I will say I would like to see Pops talk more. I'm actually surprised we don't hear him. Someone did a confessional count or how many times teams have been interviewed. He's only spoken 4 times since the first episode.
Oh.
Put Pops on the challenge.
Those arms, yes, I'd be afraid. Well, that brings us to our pit stop for this leg of the race. So proud of Mark and Brett getting their first place, followed by Carson and Jack in second, Alyssa and Josiah in third, Pops and Jeff in fourth, Han and Holden in fifth, Melinda and Erica in sixth, beating out Nick and Mike, who got seventh, and then Jonathan and Anna eighth. And sadly, we say goodbye to Scott and Lori this episode as they checked in last. I know we've been giving them a lot of praise, and I was sad to see Scott and Lori go so soon. But if I was a racer, I would also be a little relieved because they are such a strong team. And I do think that them being U-turned was probably the only way to really knock them to the back of the pack.
Yep. 100. I agree with that statement 100%.
Yeah, 100% they would have had to be U-turned.
Or I think they would have been
what you're supposed to do at a Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do at a U-turn.
Yeah.
Period.com, you are supposed to U-turn people that are strong teams that you're scared of or worried would beat you so that they go home.
Yeah.
It's I don't understand the logic between some of the U-turns.
Well, it's also interesting. The race, what I love is that it's so unpredictable, and there obviously luck is a huge factor in this. So we haven't talked about it, but we did talk about it before we went live with the stream. But I asked Scott and Lori in our exit interview why they were the last team to the Detour, because everyone was bunched up, and I was shocked that they got there last. On the way to the beach, their taxi hit a bird. A bird.
A real bird?
Yeah, so the taxi had to pull over.
How big was this bird that it caused damage to the taxi? I don't get it.
And why are we pulling over for hitting a bird? I don't get it.
I mean, I bet the taxi guy was traumatized. Maybe it was just something he needed to pull over and take a minute, but that lost time for them. Where I'm wondering, because they are so efficient with tasks, that if that didn't happen, who's to say that they maybe would have survived this leg?
Listen, if I'm Scott and Lori, I'm having nightmares about like the crows have eyes or about a bird. Like, am I the only one that is like? I mean, it wasn't a dog or like a cat. Like, I'm not going to say
it's like a random thing. It's really big.
I'd be like, sorry, bird. That's like when squirrels dart across the road. It's like, sorry, bird, you had a death wish today. Like, I'm trying to win $1 million.
Did it like hit the windshield, James?
Well, Ben in the chat goes, one time a car in front of me hit a duck and the crunch was traumatizing. I don't blame him.
Listen, I'm not saying I'm not going to be traumatized, but I want to be a traumatized little sad racer still on the move. I will process at the mat. Like, or afterwards, like, take me back to the scene of the crime and I'll go check on the bird at that point. Like, what are you going to do? Give the bird mouth to mouth? Like, I don't know. Like, I would have literal nightmares that like hitting a bird and then the taxi pulling over. Like, I don't know. Maybe
so
that
Scott
makes it cool, but
Scott did say the bird broke the driver's side mirror and the driver had to retrieve the mirror, I guess.
Hopefully next Detour task is like build a bird sanctuary so they could, the teams could feel better from this or something. Race and save the world.
Before we wrap up the stream, I want to just kind of talk about the teams that remain. Who's really kind of sticking out to you, or who this episode were you the most impressed by?
Let me go first.
Go ahead, Lewis.
Mark and Brett. Obviously, they got first place, right? Yeah. That's an easy answer. But I was always like, this team is going to be really good. They've had some bad luck. They had bad luck with Ernest on an intersection. They had some bad luck with taxis, but they always get to a task and destroy it. So Mark and Brett is the easy answer. I guess the other than Jonathan and Anna, what team do you think is going to go? I'm sorry, James, I took over your podcast
go,
here.
Please ask.
What team do you think is going to go out next? And all these teams, there's these two top three, maybe three teams at the top, and everybody else is pretty equal, I feel.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It's an interesting season, and yeah, I can't wait to watch next week.
Well, to answer your question, then I hate the preview for next week because I feel like it kind of gives away two teams that might be in jeopardy, because the preview was like,
see it.
This is a finish they said this is a finish that you don't want to miss, and it shows two teams heavily distraught and distressed and trying to get somewhere, and someone says it all comes down to a foot race. So I'm led to believe that one of these two teams might get eliminated.
Why they gotta give everything away in previews these days?
But maybe they're racing for first, but usually if it's a foot race that stress, it's usually for last.
I'll kind of pick a team that you mentioned last podcast, James, is our only female team left. I just like how they made it a point to like recognize like we're not going to be the strongest at this challenge. We have two teams that are U-turned. Like, we'll do more trips. Let's run our race. Like, we have to recognize that we can't beast two turns of 30 coconuts. Like, just to be able to really make that controlled decision and be confident and like logically think and not feel rushed to overexert yourself. Like, there's just so many moments where they make very smart decisions for them as a team individually and are able to like block out the noise. Like, how when she, was like, I was confident about the direction they were going to the mat, the last episode, the last leg. And now this one is just like, logically, we have two teams that are U-turn. They have two tasks. What is the rush? Let's get it done, but on our time. Like, we should be okay.
I love watching them race.
Yeah.
The only thing is they're kind of
standing out to me for sure.
Yeah. The only thing is they're kind of unbalanced with their roadblocks, right?
Yes. Thank you.
That's the scary thing.
That is what I'm wondering if that will trip them up, because Erica has done 4, Melinda has done 1, and they did say in the episode Melinda should have done this one, but because she's tired and it was so hot, Erica took it. I mean, and Erica did it so quickly, but I'm worried that maybe the imbalance of the roadblock could be what bites them in the butt.
That day, last episode, was the day that Melinda should have done the roadblock. They had two teams in the back that had to do both detours. It was a perfect moment for her to catch up on the roadblock count. Unfortunately, they didn't, but we'll see what happens.
But then devil's advocate in my mind, and again, this means nothing, but I'm like, they have looked like pretty physical ones so far. I'm like, they're due for like another just detail, or like in my head, just to like, I think, she's due for like a task that should be less physical. Like, so I think they're going to be okay, but yeah, I don't know. This like just seemed very physical, and the Rice one before that seemed physical to where I'm like, you know what? I think it's going to work out for them, hopefully. But yeah, that could burn them.
I mean, I think with the roadblock thing, and I always like say this to new racers too, that if you're going on the race, you have to stay in the race. So if you think that someone's going to be better at roadblocks, even if it's like you do 5 in a row, like you can do 6, I think, right? Total. So it's like if you do all 5 in a row, then like let them do 5 in a row, because if you get out because of the roadblock, then you can't keep racing. So it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? So I think like at the end of the day, even though they aren't balanced with the roadblocks, it is like a little bit nerve-wracking, but it's like you've made it this far and you've gotten to get another leg and a chance to win a leg and a chance to travel to another country. They've gone to so many cool countries this year. Like, this is a great race season. What do we call it?
Like a route.
Like a route. Yes, this is a great route. Like, yeah, they've gotten to go to like a really cool route this season. So I feel like keep going, like just keep racing. But I like Han and Holden. I think they're fun, and they're like,
Michelle's here.
Instead of bird. Bird is the word.
What are you doing?
Bird is the word. And Michelle in the chat goes, I would cry about the crunch on the way to a challenge, but I'm not stopping.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. What, Rachel, I agree with you. I would say Han and Holden really impressed me this episode as well.
Yeah. I loved how like Han just did the surfboard, but then also just because they're like brother sister, right? So like it's kind of fun to see a brother sister team that doesn't like argue all the time, and that they just like seem super chill. I mean, I love the ones that do argue because it's fun to watch. but like they're just, I don't know, like they were fun this episode.
Yeah. I think obviously props to Mark and Brett. I was so happy for the two of them. Han and Holden, I think now that they're finally out of the back of the pack, I think that they're going to start creeping up to the top and showing why everyone should be threatened of them. But I cannot wait to see, and I say this every week, just how the rest of this season plays out. It's been off to a really great start. The cast is really fun to watch. I do love all the twists, and I hope that that is something that continues in future seasons. A twist every leg. I just think it makes it really interesting. But yeah, I'm excited. I think that Pops or Jeff or Nick and Mike are gone next week.
I agree with that.
My money's probably on Nick and Mike.
Not Pops and Jeff, please. Not Pops and Jeff. All these teams are so likable.
Yes.
I know.
Well, speaking of next time, racers are going to be skydiving over the city of Dubai, and then one team will end up winning the classic game piece, the Fast Forward, which will allow them to skip all the remaining tasks and head straight to the pit stop. I am excited for the Fast Forward to make a comeback.
Yes, I love a good fast forward. This Dubai episode looks like epic.
Yeah,
I mean,
epic.
Like I want to go and do this Dubai episode. It looks so
I hadn't seen the preview until what you just showed me, and my jaw is like, are you kidding?
Skydiving, scuba diving, like what do they not do in Dubai? Like
yeah, right.
They're on camels.
You know they even snowboard and ski in Dubai.
Do they? This episode?
They have an indoor mountain.
Oh wait, and this episode or just
no, not this episode.
Oh, yeah. No, I know. It's crazy. Everything.
Let's go.
Wait, wasn't that on 31 on your season? No.
We went
when they
Dubai.
made the snowballs?
Yeah, we did.
No.
Yeah, so we did the zip line.
We went to Dubai. We did the zip line.
We did like a little sled.
Snowballs were in like
Japan.
No, that was different too. That
was a speed bump for I forgot their name.
Oh yes, you're right.
I want to say we were in Vietnam. I think we were still in Vietnam. But yeah, it was an indoor, it was snowballs. We did like a indoor ski thing. But no, that we did go to Dubai. We did a zip line. We did the Burj Khalifa, which I thought we were going to be rappelling off of, but it was like a 3D thing.
Hell no.
Oh my God. I would live to rappel Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world. Could you imagine?
No, thank you.
Epic.
I will watch from the bottom.
So fun. That would be so fun. Listen, after I did Australian rappelling on Amazing Race in Hawaii on season 20, I like literally could do. I feel like I could do anything. That was the scariest thing I've ever done. You have to walk face forward.
Mm-mm.
No,
thank you.
that
what's
was
like, what's
Let
that
Michelle
gif,
do that one.
What's that gif you always tweet, Lewis? How about no or whatever?
How about new from Austin Powers?
Yeah, insert that.
How about
one right
new?
there.
But skydiving over Dubai, how epic is that? I mean, honestly, so cool.
Can't
I let my
wait.
wife do the adventure stuff.
Yeah, Will can do that as well. Lewis and Rachel, thank you for joining us on the recap.
Thanks,
Loved
y'all.
hearing your thoughts on this episode, and everyone will be back next week. I am working on securing Monica and Cherie from season 4, Guido from season 1, and Leo and Alana are also wanting to come on to recap. So hopefully we'll have them on the next couple of weeks. But hope you have a great weekend, and thanks again, Rachel and Lewis.
Yay! Thank you for
Love
having
y'all.
us.
Thank you.
Bye, y'all.
Bye,
Bye.
friends.